măsură ce COVID-19 se răspândește în toate colțurile lumii, la fel se întâmplă și cu știrile false despre coronavirus.
Tocmai de aceea este esențial să facem o diferență între fapte și dezinformare, propagandă sau erori.
Doi experți în boli infecțioase din Hong Kong au vorbit cu un reporter CNN și au lămurit o parte din informațiile care circulă în mediul online, în special pe rețelele de socializare.
The coronavirus is man-made.
If you look at the virus itself, if you look at the phylogenetic tree, we find that basically the virus pops very nicely in between the bad coronaviruses and the SARS coronaviruses. So we believe that this is actually a natural evolution of this novel coronaviruses.
So it didn't come from a lab in China. This wasn't bioengineered.
Unlikely.
Cascada de speculații și știri false despre COVID-19 i-a făcut pe cei de la prestigioasa revistă medicală The Lancet să publice o scrisoare deschisă în care atrag atenția că teoriile conspirației nu fac decât să alimenteze teama, zvonurile și prejudecățile, care periclitează colaborarea globală în lupta împotriva coronavirusului.
My pet can give me the virus because we know that a pet here in Hong Kong has tested positive for the new coronavirus. The pet has even been placed in quarantine.
It's very unlikely and more likely that dog has been environmentally contaminated.
Even though if it's contaminated, you won't get a very high viral load. And it's very unlikely that you can actually be transmitted from the pets to you. It's very unlikely.
Now, this is a big one. Wearing a mask will not protect me from the virus because you have the U.S. Surgeon General telling people you don't need to buy a mask. It's not effective. Is it?
If you look at the data in Hong Kong, wearing masks is probably the most important thing in terms of infection control.
Wow.
It not only brings down the the cases of coronaviruses, it also brings down the influenza. In fact, this is now the influenza season, and we hardly see any influenza cases.
Coronavirus is less deadly than the flu. How did they compare?
If you look at the 1,000 cases being reported by Professor Zhong Nanshan in New England Journal of Medicine, the mortality rate is around 1.4%, or probably even going to go lower is the denominator getting bigger. So it still stands about 1%. For influenza is 0.1% or even lower, depending on what seasons you are. So it's still 10 times more deadly compared to influenza.
The virus will go away in April. We've heard that from many people. We've heard it from U.S. President Donald Trump. Is that to be believed?
It's very speculative, right? I see people partly say that because SARS kind of went away in April, May, but when it's warm here, it's going to be cold somewhere else. We've got a southern hemisphere too.
In SARS, it only affected a few countries, but this time is really a pandemic scale. So basically, it can come back, especially in the southern hemisphere, and then alternate with the northern hemisphere.